Have you ever found yourself scratching your head wondering where to position direct and indirect object pronouns when you need both in a sentence? What about say? What's the deal with that? Why does it even come into play? If you are lost about all these things, then this video is for you. And as usual, you'll get to see in context how these pronouns work together. Hello everyone and welcome back to Fluency Rocks, the channel where we unlock the secrets of language learning. I'm Carolina, your guide on this journey to mastering Spanish. Whether you are new to Spanish or have some prior knowledge, this channel is here to help you master this fascinating language. So, without further ado, let's dive into our topic for today, direct and indirect object pronouns together. So, let's remember what direct and indirect object pronouns are. Direct object pronouns like lo or la stand in for the direct objects of a sentence. Indirect object pronouns such as le represent the indirect recipients of an action. Now, if you want to dive deeper into the usage of these pronouns with more details, please check out the videos I've made about them. The links will be in the description box. Okay, here is a vital rule to correctly place direct and indirect object pronouns. When we use them together, the indirect object pronoun always comes before the direct object pronoun. For example, we have the sentence, Teresa nos trajo las bebidas. Teresa brought the drinks to us. And then we want to replace the objects by the pronouns. The sentence would end up like this. Teresa nos las trajo. Teresa brought them to us. I understand that this can be a bit challenging, but a helpful trick to remember this structure is by thinking of the sentence in English as something like this. Teresa to us them she brought. Of course, this crazy sentence is not correct in English, but it can help you remember the order and the structure we use in Spanish. Let's see some examples to illustrate this. Carmen me va a mandar un correo más tarde. Carmen me lo va a mandar. Carmen is going to send me an email later. Carmen is going to send it to me. Carlos te dio las instrucciones. Carlos te las dio. Carlos gave you the instructions. Carlos gave them to you. Mis padres nos regalaron un apartamento. Mis padres nos lo regalaron. My parents gave us an apartment. My parents gave it to us. Another interesting twist is when you have le or les as your indirect object pronoun and lo, la, los, or las as your direct object pronoun. In this case, le or les changes to se. Why do we do it? Well, we do it because of the way it sounds. Imagine we start this sentence. Les di los ingredientes a los cocineros. I gave the ingredients to the cooks. When we try to make this sentence shorter using direct and indirect object pronouns, we get les los di. I gave them to them. However, we can't say les los in Spanish because it's not correct. It's difficult to pronounce, and since the idea of these pronouns is to make things simpler, we use se instead of le or les in these sentences to avoid a tricky tongue twister. For instance, le cuento el cuento a Natalia becomes se lo cuento. It may sound complex, but it's quite elegant once you get the hang of it. Here's a quick overview of when to switch out le and les for se in sentences with both direct and indirect object pronouns. Le, lo, se, lo. Le, la, se, la. Le, los, se, los. Le, las, se, las. Les, lo, se, lo. Les, la, se, la. Les, los, se, los. Les, las, se, las. Let's see some more examples. Juliana les trajo la revista a las niñas. Juliana brought the magazine to the girls. Se la trajo. She brought it for them. Le compré unos zapatos a Fernanda. I bought Fernanda some shoes. Se los compré. I bought them for her. Le vendiste el carro a Ricardo. You sold Ricardo the car. Se lo vendiste. You sold it to him. Enrique le devolvió las llaves a Diana. Enrique returned the keys to Diana. Se las devolvió. He returned them to her. When it comes to negatives, we have a straightforward rule. The negative word like no or nunca comes right before any object pronoun. It's as simple as that. For example, no te la di. I didn't give it to you. Yo tampoco se lo dije a ella. I didn't tell her that either. Nunca me las prestas. You never lend them to me. Jamás se los compra a ellos. She never buys them for them. Now, let's see some interesting sentences. Sabrina me quiere regalar chocolates. Or, Sabrina quiere regalarme chocolates. Sabrina wants to give me chocolates. These are two versions of the same sentence, and in the first version, Sabrina me quiere regalar chocolates, we have the verb querer followed by the verb regalar, and we can see the indirect object pronoun me before querer, which is conjugated as quiere. In the second version of the sentence, Sabrina quiere regalarme chocolates, we can see the indirect object pronoun attached at the end of the second verb, regalar, and we get regalarme. Now, if we want to shorten both versions of the sentence, we would get the following. Sabrina me los quiere regalar, or Sabrina quiere regalármelos. Sabrina wants to give them to me. Here we can clearly see two important rules. The first one is that when we have both direct and indirect object pronouns, the indirect goes first and the direct follows. The second rule is that we can place those pronouns either before the conjugated verb or attached at the end of the last verb. In this case, we have only two verbs together, but there are instances where we may see even three verbs together and the rules remain the same. For example, te lo quiero poder comprar or quiero poder comprártelo. Both versions mean the same. I want to be able to buy it for you. Note that when we attach the object pronouns at the end, a written accent is often needed in order to maintain the original stress of the verb. For example, comprar, comprártelo. Regalar, regalárselos. Pagar, pagártela. Now, let's move on to the enclitic pronouns with the gerund. By the way, for those who don't know what the gerund is, in Spanish, in this case, it represents the progressive form of the verb, corresponding to the ing ending in English. Basically, it describes an action in progress. I will make a complete video about this topic. Now, let's analyze some interesting sentences. Pablo me está comprando una hamburguesa, or Pablo está comprándome una hamburguesa. Pablo is buying me a burger. Once more, we have two versions of the same sentence, and in the first version, Pablo me está comprando una hamburguesa, we have the verb estar followed by the verb comprar, and the indirect object pronoun me is placed before estar, which is conjugated as está. In the second version of the sentence, Pablo está comprándome una hamburguesa, we can see the rule repeating. The indirect object pronoun attached to the second verb, comprar, which is in its progressive form, comprando. But by attaching the pronoun at the end, we need to remember that the stress changes, and here we can see a stress mark on top of the vowel a. Now, let's make both versions of the sentence shorter. Pablo me la está comprando. Or, Pablo está comprándomela. Pablo is buying it for me. Let's talk about negatives now. Pay attention to the following versions of the same sentence. No te quiero contar el secreto. No quiero contarte el secreto. I don't want to tell you the secret. The rules here are the same. We just have to place the negative word such as no or nunca before the indirect object pronoun. Here are shorter versions of both sentences where we have replaced the objects by the pronouns. No te lo quiero contar or no quiero contártelo. I don't want to tell it to you. With all affirmative commands, we simply stick the object pronouns right at the end of the imperative form of the verb. For example, dame el cuaderno, give me the notebook. Dámelo, give it to me. Tráele el agua a Marta, bring Marta the water. Tráesela, bring it to her. Are you ready to have fun? Well, I hope so, because this is our story time, and now you will see how direct and indirect object pronouns work together in our sentences through real life examples. So, let's dive into the story. Un día en la playa. Era un día soleado en la playa y estábamos emocionados por pasar el día allí. Mi amiga Daniela y yo estábamos preparando nuestro lugar en la arena. Le pedí a Juan, el vendedor de la playa, un par de sillas para nosotros. Juan nos las trajo rápido y nos sonrió amablemente. Daniela me preguntó si quería un helado de coco, pero yo no tenía dinero para eso y tampoco se lo pedí a ella. Entonces le dije, no gracias, estoy a dieta. Justo en ese momento Juan vino a nosotros con 2 refrescos y me los entregó a mí. Daniela me miró sorprendida y le agradecimos a Juan. Luego Daniela se acercó a un grupo de niños que jugaban en la arena y les compró helados. Los niños se los comieron rápido mientras reían y se divertían. Después de un rato, Juan se acercó nuevamente con una concha marina preciosa en la mano y me la regaló. Yo estaba muy sorprendido y agradecido por la amabilidad de Juan. Entonces Daniela me preguntó si quería que le compráramos un almuerzo a Juan y que lo invitáramos a almorzar con nosotros, y enseguida le dije, claro que sí, vamos a comprárselo. Después de almorzar juntos, Daniela y yo decidimos caminar por la playa y recoger conchas marinas. Cada uno se fue por un camino diferente y después de media hora, Daniela y yo nos sentamos en nuestras sillas para compartir las conchas marinas que habíamos recogido. Daniela estaba muy emocionada y quería mostrármelas primero. Entonces yo le dije, ¿cuántas recogiste? Muéstramelas. Recogí como 50. ¿Y tú? Yo recogí como 50 también. Y en ese momento se las mostré todas. Mientras disfrutábamos del sol, me di cuenta de que había olvidado traer toallas, así que le pedí a Daniela que le pidiera a Juan algunas toallas. Daniela se las pidió amablemente a Juan, quien asintió y dijo que nos las traería en un momento. Mientras esperábamos, vi a mi hermano menor jugando en el agua. Me acerqué a él y él me dijo, «Se me olvidó mi flotador, tráemelo por favor», y yo enseguida se lo llevé. De repente, un amigo de Daniela se acercó y le dijo, «Daniela, ¿me prestas tu tabla de surf por un rato, por favor?» Daniela respondió, «Claro, te la voy a prestar, pero la cuidas». En ese momento Juan volvió con las toallas que le pidió Daniela. Él se las entregó y ella le dio las gracias. Mientras nos relajábamos en la arena con nuestras toallas, vi a una mujer que estaba pidiéndole una ensalada de frutas a un vendedor. Entonces el vendedor comenzó a picar las frutas para la ensalada y yo estaba viendo cómo estaba preparándosela. Finalmente, el amigo de Daniela terminó de usar la tabla de surf, se la devolvió a ella y nos lanzamos al agua con nuestras tablas, listos para seguir disfrutando de un día inolvidable en la playa. So, there you have it, a story to show the interesting world of direct and indirect object pronouns together in our sentences. Remember, practice makes perfect. So, grab your Spanish materials and start experimenting with these pronouns in your sentences. You'll sound more fluent and natural in no time. Now, there's something important you need to know. If you are not subscribed to my channel with all notifications on, you may miss my new videos. So, to keep getting more content like this, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell. Also, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. You know I'd love to learn from you. Before I go, I have a question for you. Did you know that direct object pronouns can't always be left out? If you want to learn more about this, I bet you will really enjoy watching my video titled "Where do Spanish direct object pronouns go?" It's a great choice if you want to understand where these pronouns are placed in our sentences and when they can't be left out. Click here to watch this great video and keep rocking your language learning goals.